Hello, welcome back to Home Appetit. So here we are, we're here again. We are going to make something new for you. We're gonna make an authentic chicken tortilla soup. It's gonna be quite delicious. We're gonna make our own broth for that, our own chicken broth. I did get this recipe from mylatinatable.com, except I'm going to be changing quite a bit of it out. So just so you know, I did get some of the authentic portion from that website, but I am going to do my own little thing here and kind of make it my own. And one of the things that we're doing that's different is making our own chicken broth instead of using chicken stock from like a can or the cardboard thing or whatever. So here we are. I'm Alycia, this is Ava. As I make my chicken tortilla soup, this one is actually going to make some cornbread to go along with that. So it's gonna be delicious. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for joining. So the first thing we're gonna do is make our chicken broth. So I'm gonna do it in a Dutch oven. I like making soups in my little cast iron Dutch oven here because it just comes out so much more delicious. So we're going to fill this up and I'm gonna stick a whole chicken in there. You don't have to do a whole chicken. I just tend to do that because with all the bones and everything in it, that's what gives you that really good broth. So I'm about halfway filled up there. So you can see here, about halfway filled. I'm throwing that on the stove and I'm gonna put it on high for now. So the next thing that we wanna throw in there would be onion and garlic. Okay, so I'm gonna throw about 4 cloves of garlic in there. Okay, and I just half them. You don't have to like chop them up, just half them and stick them right into the pot here. This one already halved itself, which is great. Okay, so we put our 4 cloves of garlic in there. And I do a whole onion and I just quarter it. So I'm just gonna cut it into 4s and just throw it right in there. Okay, so there's one. Throw that in, just like that. Okay, and then we're gonna throw salt and pepper in there because of course you gotta season it, right? You gotta get that yummy flavor in there. Throw in some pepper, good amount of salt. Carl, you're not going in there. Show Carl. Look it, my friend's dog is here and he wants to go in my room probably to take a big old pee-pee. Silly dog. Okay, so now here's my chicken. I've already cleaned it, so you do want to like rinse your chicken first and take out any of the little guts that are in there, which I know sounds gross, but like the heart and the liver and stuff is in there. If you are a person that likes the flavor of organ, like liver and heart, you can put that in too and just let that be part of the broth. I'm just not a big fan of that, so I take that out. And I'm literally just gonna throw this entire chicken in there. I know it seems like a lot, but at the end, if I don't want to use all that meat, I just put it to the side and I save it, and I can use it for something else. Perfect. Okay, and we let that sit now for about an hour and a half. So as that's sitting and we're making our broth, I mean, that's literally all you do. Now you just let it sit there. As that broth is being made, Ava is actually going to make her cornbread. So we're gonna show you how that is too.
By creaming your softened butter and your sugar into this. Oh yeah, and I got this recipe off of Pinterest, so it's not mine. Okay, and then we have 1 cup of sugar. And then we're we're just gonna mix this until, just for a little bit, until it's combined. Okay, I'm just gonna give it a mix and scrape down the sides. I like this spatula. Okay, that's good. And then you're just gonna leave that there, and we're gonna start on our other ingredients. Now we're gonna mix together our dry ingredients. So we have 1 1/3 cup of flour. And now we have a cup of cornmeal, 4 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a half. And then we're gonna do 1 teaspoon of salt. Okay? And now, give it a mix. Now for our wet ingredients, we just have 3 eggs and a cup of milk. Okay. And then a cup of milk. Okay. And just whisk it together.
And while Ava's mixing, we can come take a look at our chicken, see how that's going. You can see some nice oil, some nice fats. That's gonna make a really good broth, but we still have quite a bit to go, probably about another 45 minutes before this chicken is ready.
So now we're gonna go back over here to our butter and sugar. We're gonna I'll like alternately add like a little bit of the dry ingredients and a little bit of the wet ingredients. So I'm gonna start off with just a little bit of this. And mix it together. Just like on low. Then we're gonna add some of our egg mixture. We're gonna scrape the sides. So once you are finished putting all your dry and wet ingredients, your batter should look like this. I'm just gonna give it one last scrape down the sides and the bottom. So now we are going to grease our baking sheet just with some butter. Just take some butter, just like that. And then we can pour our batter in. I'm gonna put this in the oven for, I'm gonna start with 25 minutes. It might take longer, but this is preheated at 400. Oh, it's hot.
Okay, if you want to look over, our chicken is almost done. You can see now the consistency and the color of that broth. It's more yellowish. We have some oils and fats in there, which is great. The chicken's almost done. I'm gonna give it about 15 more minutes just to make sure it's really, really tender. So what we're gonna do while we're waiting for that to finish is, here's the ingredients we're gonna use for our actual like sauce of the soup. So we're gonna use Roma tomatoes. I have 8 of them. Okay, it's kind of a lot, but I have 8 of them. We're gonna use onion. We're gonna use, these are called Pasillo Ancho Chiles. So you can get these at any like Mexican market, any Latino market. I already actually destemmed and deseeded them. So I just cut off the top, take the stem off, pour out the seeds. What we're gonna do with these is boil them. So I'm gonna actually take these right now and stick them in our water here that I already have heated up. So I'm just gonna stick them right in there and boil those for just a couple minutes. They boil pretty quickly, okay? Okay, so let those boil out. What I'm gonna do with our garlic, our onion, and our tomatoes now is roast them. So that's one of the big things you have to do here for chicken tortilla soup. Make sure that everything's roasted before you blend it. That's what gives it the flavor. So we're gonna go ahead. And these garlics are gonna stay whole. Notice I'm using about 4 garlics again. So if you don't want to use as much garlic, because you know there's already garlic in the broth, that's okay. You don't have to use as much, but I love garlic. We're only going to use half of this onion. And I'm just going to cut this into half because you're going to blend it. All we need to do is have it in half so we can roast it. And then we're going to roast these just completely whole. I just like to take out the little core here. So you're going to do this with all 8 tomatoes. Take out the core, and then we're just going to roast it exactly like this on each side. So I have over here my cast iron skillet. So I'm going to turn that on and let it get pretty hot. And I'm going to throw my olive oil on there so I can roast all of my veggies. Decent amount of olive oil there. Okay, let's let that heat up. And we're going to roast our veggies on here. We'll come back in a minute. And we can see here our broth is almost done. Our chilies are just about done. I'm going to take them out. And just so you know, my guest for today. So I do have my special guest. My special guest today is Alyssa, and that's Soul. Look at Soul.
Say hi.
Soul's like, whatever, man. Soul. He's like, no.
No, he's not having it.
Not having it. She's our taste tester, so she's going to be our taste tester today for our soup and our cornbread. You can see this is nice and hot. This is the oil that's burning off here. So we're just going to throw our tomatoes, our onion, and our garlic straight on there. Scary. Scary. Okay, we're gonna let those roast, and then we'll flip them, let them roast a little longer until they're really nice and soft and getting charred on the outside. Then we're gonna throw them into our blender. I already have my chilies in here that are nice and soft from being boiled, so those are already in here. I also tossed a tiny bit of the juices in there, just because it'll help kind of blend when everything gets in there together. So I just put a little bit of that chili juice in there. Just a little bit, like that. That's it. Okay, now what we have to do while these are roasting is get our chicken out. So at this point, our chicken is now done. We're gonna take that out, let it, ow, that hurt. Take the chicken out, you're gonna let it sit and cool off, and then we'll shred it. Okay everyone, so I like to have a little bit of black bean and corn in my chicken tortilla soup. If you don't like that, then don't put it in. Maybe you want to put other veggies. Maybe you want to put, I don't know, squash. I do have sour cream. Maybe you want to put squash or carrots, whatever vegetables you want. I'm just going to throw in some black beans and some corn. I got canned because, sometimes you just want to do it fast. So I got canned. I went ahead and put it in a strainer, and I rinsed it so you don't get all those like weird juices from the can in there. And I'm just going to throw it straight into our wonderful chicken broth we have here. There we go, and we're gonna stir it around. Our chicken broth is delicious. I did put a little bit of I put all of the onion and the garlic that was in originally our chicken broth. I put it in with my Ancho chili water, and then I added some of that water in our broth. It gives it a really, really good flavor. Let's check on our tomatoes here, which are the things that take the longest, really. They're literally almost done. I'm gonna let them see this one right here, how it's easy to peel it off and it's kind of soft. That's what you're looking for. So I'm gonna move it to the last sides here. 2 more minutes, and we're gonna blend everything together in that blender. and pour it into our broth. So now I have my onion that's been roasted, I have my garlic, my ancho chili, and I have 4 of the tomatoes in here. I'm gonna do 4 at a time just to make sure it mixes really well. If it gives you a hard time with blending, just pour a little bit of that ancho chile water in there that you boiled with, and it'll help it to mix a little bit better. So let's give it a try. Here we go. Let's puree it. Or not, but I'm gonna have to put more liquid in here for sure. I have the worst blender, by the way. If you have a good blender, it'll work a lot better. Okay, so now I'm gonna add my last 4 tomatoes in here. Okay, that ought to do it. Yep, no big chunks in there. It's feeling nice and pureed, so you can look at the top here and see it's a nice little puree. You can give it a taste. It's gonna be kind of bland because you haven't put salt in, but I've salted my broth already, so that's gonna give it the nice saltiness. So we're just gonna add this in now. And that gives it that chicken tortilla soup color that you're used to. So I'm gonna start off with that. I'm gonna let it simmer for about 20-25 minutes. And if I need a little bit more, I have more to put in, but I'm gonna start with about half and see how it tastes. Okay guys, the last thing we're gonna do is make tortilla strips, but from scratch. Very, very simple. I have corn tortillas here. I'm gonna cut them into the tiniest little slivers here so you can see how little those are, how thin they are. The thinner, the better. You're just gonna fry them in vegetable oil, and voila, you got your own tortilla strips to put on your soup. All right guys, so we are ready. I put the rest of the mix of the blender, I put the rest in here so you can look at the soup now. It's now a nice chicken tortilla soup. There it is. I also made my little tortilla strips. So these are homemade tortilla strips we're gonna put on top. Ava's cornbread is done over here. We have the cornbread. We're gonna make a honey butter sauce for that, which is basically just butter and honey and you mix it up. So I'm assuming you can do that on your own. Thanks everyone.